Hello and welcome to Kids' Stuff, a Chucky Podcast, a HauntedMTL original podcast. I'm your host, David Davis, and my guest this week is returning from our very first episode. Welcome back, Kevin Hayman.
Thank you for having me again. It's fun to be here.
Yeah, and I understand that you've went and dove into the series a little bit more. So before we get into that, can you kind of briefly reintroduce yourself and what you do for the audience?
Absolutely. My name is Kevin Hayman. I am a writer, artist, podcaster, and graphic designer. I am creator of The Errant Apprentice, Coda's World, Mailbox Rocket Ship, and I am the current host of Supernatural Selection, available on deviantbehaviorradio.com or wfuc.xyz.
And I think I was looking at the episode counts because I do that, and I think I'm on like at least a third of the episodes of your show.
Yes, you are. You are officially one of the co-hosts, so that's always cool.
So that's a little humble brag for me there.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so Kevin, since we last talked, the movie that you had seen was Child's Play. Since then, how much Chucky stuff have you watched?
All of it.
So you're officially like part of the cult now,
I am in the cult of Chucky with you, yes.
So yeah, like what was that experience kind of catching up with all of them? How did you feel about the series overall as you went through?
I'm gonna be honest, man, there's a couple of missteps in there, but overall I love the whole series. It is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, the series going on for what, like 30 years or something, right?
Yeah.
Thereabouts?
Yeah, it's technically been with me my whole life, but in the background. So.
And it would make sense that there's a couple areas where they kind of maybe have like a slight misfire, but it always seems to recover beautifully.
Absolutely.
Particularly towards those last two films, I think.
Mm-hmm. Seed of Chucky, not my favorite, but we'll.
Which I love that one, but that's for another episode.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the reason why we're here today is we're going to be talking about the Chucky TV show. Specifically, the first episode.
Yeah.
Now, for listeners, if you follow me on social media and HauntedMTL, you'll already see that I posted a kind of spoiler-free review of it. Like, spoiler alert, I absolutely loved it. We're not so much reviewing the episode in this discussion, but rather just kind of like talking about it like we talked about like Child's Play. So you've been warned in that regard. So, I guess what I want to do first is talk a little bit about the production. I'll probably get a little more detailed as we go on throughout the series. But a couple things to know. First of all, the show is created by Don Mancini and executive produced by Mancini and David Kirshner, who have been with the franchise since the beginning. So it's, again, that example of like having that singular kind of creative vision that weaves through everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that really impresses me about the entire franchise is you've had the same two people involved from the get-go.
And then, of course, like the same actor in the form of, Brad Dourif, who's just like game for everything, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he obviously enjoys what he does.
Mm-hmm. Now, the series is a direct follow-up from the 7th film of the series, Cult of Chucky, and continues that story. So, Kevin, what do you remember about Cult of Chucky?
I remember pretty much all of it, because I saw it about less than a week ago. Cult of Chucky, we had Nika in the insane asylum from the previous film. Someone sends her a Chucky doll. If you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to spoil anything. And it is, of course, Chucky, and shenanigans ensue. And
you end up with like 3 or 4 different Chuckies.
Yes. There are multiple Chuckies. Andy shows up.
Andy shows up in a really cool way, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that bit with the haircut, and then it's like, oh, yeah, there was a gun there the entire... Yeah, that's fantastic.
I love the idea that his only friend during most of the film is a disembodied Chucky head that he shot attached to a railroad tie.
Yeah, and then, he has his little blowtorch and everything like that. Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
So the thing we need to keep in mind here is that, in the background of the show, which seems to be set up about, I would say, it seems like maybe like 2 years after Cult, based on some of the music that I heard. There was a Billie Eilish song that I heard that, gives me a rough idea of the timeline.
Sure.
But the key thing we got to keep in mind is that there are probably multiple Chuckies running around in this situation. We're only getting the point of view of one of them right now. So, Kevin.
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being great, 1 being terrible, how'd you feel about that episode?
I 100%. I give it a 5. There is, I love the setup. You get a kill in it. You get to see Chucky being Chucky, and I give it a lot of credit because there's very few times where you're rooting for Chucky in the films, but in this episode, you're kind of like, yeah, kill these motherfuckers.
Yeah, there's something going interesting here with, maybe they're kind of setting up Chucky to be an anti-hero in a sense, but it's also because that community is full of, like, absolutely shitty people.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, it is definitely one of those, it's a town that deserves to die, for the most part.
Yeah. And we'll talk about some of those people in that town. So, first person I want to bring up is Zachary Arthur as Jake Wheeler, who starts the episode by buying Chucky from a yard sale. What did you think of Zachary?
Zachary is doing an amazing job in this episode. He is pulling a lot of emotion. The whole sequence where the doll statue gets destroyed, his father died, all of it is just, this kid's good.
And what I like about his performance is that you could easily see him being to do Star Wars terms, being seduced by the dark side here. You could see like that inner darkness, especially with, I'm all for outsider art, but the doll body part statue is a little bit like, you think you'd hear about that like on Last Podcast on the Left when they do a heavy hitter episode.
Oh God, yeah, no, this kid is a Ted Bundy in the making.
And it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing that kind of like push and pull between Chucky and the character of Jake. Because he's got all the hallmarks and the tragedy of someone who could become a serial killer, which is really interesting.
Absolutely. And he's obsessed with true crime, so.
Yeah, and then speaking of true crime, and I'm going to butcher this name, Jorgen Arnerson. Jorgen Arnerson, who plays Devin, who's Jake's crush, and he's the podcaster.
Yes.
I get the feeling that he recognized the good guy doll.
I think you're right. I think he recognized the good guy doll. I also kind of get the feeling that maybe Devin recognizes something in Jake. That...
Like, I'm very curious about that, yeah.
Because, he asked him to be on his show because he wanted to talk about bullying, and I get the feeling that maybe he's looking at this kid going, number one, maybe I can nip this in the bud. Number two...
Yeah, is he profiling him?
Yeah, exactly. Number two, he's like, maybe I can get in on the ground floor. Maybe this is my story.
Which is, like, would be supremely fucked up, because this is a story about a community that's, like, absolutely terrible, and I could see that kind of shoe dropping where Devin is, because it's clear that Jake has a thing for Devin.
Yeah.
But, like, just that tragedy would be enough to cause Jake to, like, flip out and kill somebody, I think.
Oh, yeah. Like, him asking him to be on the podcast, because, like, and here's the thing, I identify with Jake a little bit with that whole getting sympathy sort of thing, making you really pissed off. I'm like, yeah, no, I could see that. There could be a very serious wedge driven in here. So, kudos on both of them. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the Devin character because we didn't get a lot from him.
What we got was interesting, though, and one thing I noticed is, like, the podcast seems, like, super short.
Yeah, he's definitely doing a Aaron Mankey's Cabinet of Curiosities as opposed to lore.
Like, I do like the podcast name Hack and Slash, though. That's a lot of fun. It's very cute. All those little details I really appreciate. It makes the community feel lived in.
Yes, definitely. Hackensack, New Jersey, Hack and Slash. It's definitely a fun little thing.
Right. So a couple more of the kids to talk about. We also had Olivia Allen Lind as Lexi Cross, Jake's bully.
Oh,
What did we think of Lexi?
man, fuck that kid. Man, that kid is just the devil. Like,
Oh, she's fantastic.
Oh no, she's a great actress. She seems like the actress seems like she would be a really sweet kid, and I'm willing to wager on some level she's having fun playing this bitch of a character.
Mm-hmm. I read in like a behind the scenes interview or something like that, like one of the press tours, she mentioned she felt just like so bad doing the shit that she had to do on set.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And
when I wrote my review, I described her as like the mean girl from hell. Like if she was in Mean Girl, she'd be like the absolute worst one.
Yes.
Which I'm very interested, because I don't want Chucky to kill her off right away. Because one thing that I'm notorious for is liking characters who like inject drama into things. Like with The Walking Dead, my favorite character was Merle Dixon, who was Daryl's brother, like the asshole that everybody hated. I love those characters, and I'm hoping that Lexi sticks around for a while, because I just like how she just injects that kind of venom into all of this.
I'm going to make a prediction here.
Yeah.
Something is making her do this, and when I say something, like there's something in her past that makes her this horrible bitch. But also, I love the hints that maybe she is why Jake's cousin is the way he is.
Yeah, there's something going on there, and we'll talk about that. The other big hint is her little sister, who we see in the audience of the talent show scene. Like, her eyes light up when she sees Chucky. But also, like, she's really pissed off at her sister.
Oh, yeah, no. She just, like, there's absolute glee on her face when Chucky takes her down a peg.
And we'll talk about, like, what he does in a bit.
Oh,
but,
yes.
I'm also glad you brought up her boyfriend, Junior, who is Jake's cousin. So,
oh, wait, before...
Junior's...
I just want to throw in there. Gage my roommate pointed out to me, the actor playing Lexi's father is the doctor from Cult of Chucky.
Yes, that happens a lot with these Chucky films. Like, for example, the guy in the asylum, Multiple Mike, I think they called him. He was a cop in Curse of Chucky.
Oh, great! Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, and then like so like Don Mancini, he like has his little stable of actors, and he always kind of like brings them back, which I absolutely love. That's great.
I love when a creator does that. So yeah. I just thought that was a fun little thing I had to throw in there, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, and I'll have some little observations that I wrote down as part of my review that I'll kind of mention here,
Great.
But let's talk about Junior. What the fuck is going on with Junior?
Let's talk about Junior. You know, we're watching it, and while we're watching the show, my roommate and I are discussing, like, the characters, and one of the things we both agree is, I think Junior and Jake grew apart after the death of Jake's mother, and Junior is pissed about it, and he's taking it out on Jake, but I don't think his heart is really in it.
Now, see, I don't know, like, that's a good theory, I like that, but also I'm wondering if, like, Junior himself is closeted. Because he keeps pushing that, like, you know, yeah, you're gay, you know, like, when one of those kids hits on him.
Right.
When one of those kids hits on him, and he's like, oh, it happens all the time.
Yeah, which, let's not mince words, that's a very attractive boy. He's definitely the kind of person that everybody's gonna hit on in school. Just say.
Yeah, like, if you're in middle school, he would be like the popular hot kid, I guess.
Yes.
But, you know, it's just that idea that, like, he's closeted, maybe he's a little jealous of Jake.
For being
in that
out?
Yeah. Yeah, because Jake is pretty much out.
Yeah.
Now, the series is going to offer some recurring characters from the past series, but we'll talk about them as they pop up. I did see Tiffany at one point, that was a lot of fun. But let's talk about Devon Sawa. Like, damn, dude. Great job.
Devon Sawa. Who's that? Is that it?
Yeah, So do you remember the Final Destination films?
Actually, I don't. I mean, I know they exist,
okay.
but
So he was one of those like young leading men for like horror films and teen films for a while. So he plays Logan, Jake's father.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Jake's uncle. And then he also played Lucas, who was Jake's father.
Yeah, in a dual role because they're twins, obviously.
Yeah, but I thought they did a great job with that. But I really like how like he made them very distinct characters.
He definitely did.
He's a professional actor.
Definitely.
Like, so you expect that, but I wasn't expecting it to be just so different between the two of them.
Yeah, it's definitely a night and day sort of thing. You have the brother that is extremely successful, and then he's like, I could throw a little work your way. It's like, I don't need your pity.
Right. And here's the thing. Of the people in the town so far, there are only a few of them who I feel are likable right now. So Jake is obviously one of them because we're kind of invested in him. I think Logan, his uncle, Logan is one of those. I haven't seen anything that sends me any red flags. Like, maybe he's kind of being a little dick because he's like, I can maybe send you some work. But also he's trying to help.
I think he's pushing his son too much with that whole, you need another extracurricular activity. And he's like, what? Well, if anyone can handle it, you can.
But would we consider like a tiger mom to be evil? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I would actually.
That's fair. That's fair. Expectations can like really harm kids. Yeah. But I just don't see Logan as being too.
I think if he's got a flaw, it's that he wants the best for his son and he's pushing him too hard. But that would be his major flaw if he has one.
Now, the other character is the science teacher, and unfortunately, I don't have her name on me right now. But the science teacher was pretty cool. But I'm
just gonna say she's probably my favorite character in the show.
My concern, though, and it's probably purely because of how she looks. I'm wondering if she's Glenda.
I don't.
I'm wondering if she might be Glenda.
I don't know that Glenda is old enough at this point.
Well, okay, so Seed to Chucky came out in 1990. No, it came out like 2000, like 2005.
Yeah, 2004, I think. Because anyway, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know. I'm just like, oh man, because I really want to know what happens with Glenn and Glenda.
And now that you say that, I forgot. Oh wait, it's been like 20 freaking years. I'm old. That's right.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, so maybe, I don't know. We'll call that my tinfoil hat theory that might be Glenda.
Yeah.
But and then of course we do need to mention Brad Dourif as Chucky. I think he totally found his voice again, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because the past couple movies, it's obviously Dourif. He's doing a great job, but his voice sounded different. Here he seems a little more relaxed because I think he was able to kind of figure out... Because obviously as an actor gets older, their voice changes. And I think he was able to kind of tap into that a little bit. And like, this is, I think, the best Chucky has sounded since Bride of Chucky.
Yeah, I also think, like, maybe they were, since they're kind of, I know they're supposed to delve into Charles Lee Ray's backstory. I think maybe part of the direction could have been, don't think Chucky, think Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah, because it's weird to say that Chucky feels, like, softer to a degree, but he kind of does.
Well, like, yeah, no, I agree, because anytime he picks up a knife and there's someone in the room, 9 times out of 10, you're like, well, this guy's dead. But when he has a knife in the room with Jake, you're like, now, Jake's all right. He's not going to hurt Jake right now. He's got something going here. And I also think he sympathizes with Jake.
Oh, yeah, totally. I think we're going to find that Charles was in a very abusive household.
I think you're right.
And they do hint a little bit about his past, because they talk about that, like, he was a survivor, his parents were killed. So I wouldn't be surprised if Charles himself killed his parents. And my theory right now, I don't know, but I think what's going to happen is he seems particularly... Because at the end of the episode, you see a young Charles with his mother. I think something happens where his dad kills his mom,
and
then Charles kills his dad. I think that's what they're gonna do, and it's gonna generate some sympathy for Charles, but also we can't be too sympathetic.
No, and this is kind of going back to the whole last podcast thing. In a lot of these serial killer stories, when you hear about their childhood, there is an intense amount of sympathy you have for these kids a lot of times, because it's like, man, if somebody had just reached this kid and given him just enough hugs, maybe none of this would have happened.
Or maybe gave him a helmet so they didn't get their head hit too many times.
Yeah, no, I mean, one hammer blow to the head can turn a lot of people into a serial killer, yes.
Well, and, I'm wondering if that might be the situation with Jake as well, because Jake got hit pretty hard there. I'm wondering if there might be a history of, head trauma in Jake's past.
Yeah, his nose bled real easy.
Yeah.
Getting hit in the head.
So, I want to talk about a few of, those little key moments of the episode. And I think the one I want to talk about most is that kill, because that kill is, one of my favorites in the series.
Yeah, I want to talk about that kill for my own reasons. As some of you know, I work in a liquor store, and Jake's dad is an alcoholic. And they covered the label, but he's drinking my favorite bourbon, which is Woodford Reserve.
Oh, no.
And Chucky kills him via electrocution by vomiting. And also, that scene where he throws up the Woodford Reserve on him is such... It reminds me of Team America World Police.
Oh, yes, definitely.
It throws up in the alley. So I'm laughing the whole time that happens. But the two things I think is, number one, this is a great kill. And number two, that is a waste of some really good bourbon. But that is... it was such a fun kill, though.
And one of the things I like that is whenever Chucky kind of taps into the fact that he's kind of this inhuman doll. So just the way that the spraying mechanism or whatever works, it's does Chucky have a stomach? I don't think so.
Well, here's the thing I noticed. When Chucky's a doll, he has no interior to the mouth or throat. But when Charles takes over, he does. So I'm thinking it's voodoo magic.
Yeah, and I just it's just such a weird, visceral kill. It's funny and terrifying at the same time. It's a scary thing. Especially those little glimpses that you get of him in the basement, which doing the whole Chucky thing.
That is classic throwback to Child's Play 2. Yeah,
there was a lot of. And that was one of those things that I talked about in my review, is that this first episode kind of rhymed with other parts of the series.
It really did.
One of those other great moments is when Jake has Chucky and he's shaking him. He's like, "Talk to me, damn it!" And then Chucky slaps him.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. That was a straight callback to Andy's mom in the first movie, and me and. We were very aware of the callbacks, the echoes, as it were.
Yeah, it helps that you've kind of binged them all since then.
Oh,
but there's so many great little nods, the whole basement scene feeling like something out of Child's Play 2 and everything like that. So let's talk about that talent show.
Oh, let's please.
That is the ballsiest thing I think I've ever seen Chucky do, and it is it was so satisfying.
Really
I was sitting there with my wife watching it, and I was just like, oh my god.
Let's see, she looks at Pokemon porn, which here Brad Dourif as Chucky say the words Pokemon porn.
My bucket list item crossed off.
I didn't even know it was on my list, and now it's been marked off, and I'm happy for it.
That is just such a cool thing that I did not expect.
And
to have Chucky be that vocal in public, but then the way he was able to kind of turn it into that ventriloquism show, just very cool.
Yes, and the thing is, it's kind of obvious when you look at it. It's this is one of those things I'm willing to wager has been in the back of Mancini's head. Since the get-go. Oh my god, wouldn't it be great if we had Chucky pretending he was a ventriloquist doll? And then they kind of did that with Shitface in Seed of Chucky. But this is so much more satisfying.
Well, and that's kind of like you get the sense that Mancini has a lot of stuff in his pocket for later.
Mhm.
Like, with Cult of Chucky, all the multiple Chuckies, that was something he was thinking about clear back during Child's Play 2.
Oh yeah, because I mean, it would have been
Yeah.
so easy to just have like the blood get in the vat and say that like, okay, well, there's like 90 Chuckies now.
Yeah, but they had to have that little extra thing of like that the electrical accident to kick it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like that scene with the talent show is like I think that's what sold me on the show.
Yes.
That they're willing to go that far with, so I watch these things with my wife Holly.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very much the type who gets very angry when she sees people being dicks and no one's stopping them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the audience of people being absolutely terrible as these children are made fun of.
Yeah.
It's such a good way to kind of set up the town. Or is Hackensack more of a city? I would say city.
It's a thing. I don't know. It's
Hackensack.
It's Hackensack. It is what it is. It's a city that feels like a town.
Yeah.
At least in the show.
but the idea is that like it really does a good job of setting up like what a scummy place this feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to I don't want to disparage the fine people of Hackensack, New Jersey, but
fictional Hackensack.
Yes,
definitely full of assholes.
But when I first read about the pitch for the show, the pitch emphasized like Chucky kind of being let loose in this community full of secrets, and they do a great job of setting up that concept in that scene, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah, that reminds me. Can we bring up the fact that Jake's aunt is Alexa Doig?
And
yes. I've loved her since she was on what was that Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. And then she was in Jason X. So she's definitely got some horror movie chops. And I'm just glad to see her getting work. It's great.
And I'm very curious, like, what her whole secret is as well.
I'm willing to, it feels like sort of a callback to Curse of Chucky to me. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe she has a lesbian lover.
It could be that, or it could be like I don't know if he would dive into that well too soon.
Yeah.
Again, but yeah, it's entirely possible.
Yeah.
So, what was another scene that you were particularly like interested in? What scene? What here?
Okay.
What scene sold you on the show?
100% honest. The dynamic between Jake and his dad sold me on the episode. Mm-hmm. Because, like, the whole thing where, like, his dad won't accept that he's gay. Mm-hmm. There's that whole thing. And he gets angry when people bring it up. And he keeps saying he doesn't know what he is. Right. And then when he comes upstairs drunk and just obliterates the doll sculpture, I was like, okay, that was a bad thing to do, but
you know what
thank you for doing it because holy shit, I hate that statue.
Well, and I when I first watched the episode, I'm like, okay, so Jake's dad's he's an asshole, but at least he's not like a super abusive one. And then they flip the switch,
and then it turns out, oh wait, he is a super abusive asshole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that You get the sense that there was something good in Jake's dad for a while, but I agree. It's too far gone. Yeah. And that's what's the saddest thing, because then Chucky's already kind of trying to groom Jake in a sense, so he's cutting off Jake from repairing that relationship.
Yeah.
Which, there's going to be a whole lot of gaslighting in the show, and it's going to be frustrating, and I'm going to absolutely enjoy it.
Yeah, no, Chucky's definitely like, you wanted him dead. So it was definitely, yeah, I'm really looking forward to see where they take this. But like you said, I think the best scene in the entire show was definitely the talent show.
Yeah.
That definitely sold me on it.
Now, you saw Tiffany, right? In the episode?
No, where was she?
Right at the yard sale scene, you see a woman in a red coat.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Tiffany Valentine right there, because she wears that very distinct
right.
that very distinct red coat. So you see that she seemed to have planted Chucky there.
Of course. Well,
so
yeah. Chucky's got a reason to be back home, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's also like, why is this Chucky coming to Hackensack? What's going on with the other ones? There's a whole lot of mysteries that we're like gonna have to try to parse throughout this series, and I'm very excited.
I am too.
About that.
I'm curious how they're gonna work this. Is Jake related to him? That's a question.
That's interesting as well. That's a good question. I don't think we have enough information to work off from so far.
No.
But I could see that as a possibility.
As a writer and a creator, like, that's the direction you could definitely take it.
So, do you think they did a good job of updating the character for a younger generation? I know it's weird to ask you that, and it's weird for me to think about that because we're getting to be old at this point.
Yeah.
but like, do you think they did a good job kind of like contemporizing it?
Speaking as someone that watched it with a 23-year-old.
Okay.
Yes. I watched it with someone who is literally half my age, and they did a very good job of updating Chucky to something for the modern era. Because a lot of it's got to do, you can kill people, but it's more fun to play with them, with their secrets. Like, you remember his aunt was like, "You mentioned I had a secret when you were doing your talent show routine. What did you mean by that?" "Oh, I was just trying to be funny." Because he's like, "I don't fucking know. What's Chucky know?"
Yeah, and it's like Chucky versus the Zoomers, I think.
Oh,
that's how I put it in my review.
I love that. That's a great description.
But that's a thing that I think, like, okay, so obviously I can't speak for the young ones, but like, it's social embarrassment and trolling that seems to be kind of like the terror of the
modern age
of Gen Z. You know what I mean? You've got the doxing, you've got all of that stuff going on. So I think Chucky kind of shifting his purposes. Like, he's still going to kill, obviously.
Oh, yes.
But I think his thing is, like, he's kind of found his time because he's going to focus on, like, trolling people. You know what I mean?
If we were to break Charles Lee Ray down into your types of serial killers, he's definitely a process killer.
Oh, most definitely.
As opposed to a product killer. It's the joy of the act. And I think he's learned that just killing doesn't do it. He's got to have a personal reason to do it.
So you're telling me he's edging himself?
I think he's edging, yes. I think he's getting there and then being like, yeah, no, it's going to be great when it happens.
Yeah, and, it's a departure from Child's Play, because in Child's Play, he wasn't so much... You see him start to, like, figure out that he enjoys kind of, like, messing with people. But, when he first starts in Child's Play, he's not necessarily doing that.
No. I also feel like the reason for this is because we've got the longer format. You can stretch it out. You can have Chucky feel his way through the kills more. It's quality over quantity now.
Yeah, and we're gonna have 8 episodes, which
that's gonna be great.
Yeah, and I just gotta say, I'm super impressed with how well the series is translated to television.
I agree. I didn't know if it would work, and I am happy to be proven wrong.
Especially, like, okay, so I do have some issues with, like, the previous 2 movies, the design of the doll itself. Like, I had some issues with
I agree.
The design. But it seems like they kind of nailed it here.
It looks more like Chucky. Because part of the problem I had is, like, okay, the doll looked like a Chucky doll in the last 2 movies for the most part. But when it started moving around, it's like they made it look more like Brad Dourif.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I get it, but also it was kind of a, what's the term? It was off-putting.
Yeah, like they like when you see Chucky go into full like Chucky mode in the show, obviously his face distorts and he looks more like Charles Lee Ray and everything like that. But like the core design, the previous two didn't really feel so much like toy dolls.
No.
This one does.
It feels like a doll moving around.
Yeah.
I
especially with like how much softer the doll looks when it's not, gaslighting people.
I also think the lack of stitches kind of helps.
Yeah, so this is clearly not the doll that we've kind of been following since the beginning. This is one of the multiple dolls.
Yeah, I think that original doll is the one Andy has on the railroad block.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, and then, let's talk about those animatronics, though, because, I imagine doing an animatronic heavy show, like TV show, is super, super intense and super difficult.
But yeah, that's anything like that is always going to be difficult. Like, have you ever heard the stories of what it was like making Alf? The cast hated it. When at the end of the show, the guy that played Willie just didn't say goodbye, just grabbed his coat, got in his car, and drove off, and never spoke to anyone again.
Well, it's also like, I keep thinking of like Farscape, and I keep thinking of like the puppets on Farscape, and just like how frustrating those shoots were. And this is with like real professional, like this is the Jim Henson company, you know what I mean? So that being said, I think they kind of went with a smart route here, because a lot of the episode, Chucky isn't moving around.
Not till the end.
It's just him. Yeah, it's him menacing people, doing his whole, like, I'm going to put myself here. I'm going to put myself here.
Hi, I'm just a doll. I'm just standing here by the door. How did I get here? Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then they kind of give us that money shot at the end. Like, obviously they have him jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they give him us, like, jumping down from the counter when Lexi's in the science lab.
That just looked like a doll pushing itself off a thing, though,
But even then, like, it's still uncanny as shit, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah, when they give us that kind of money shot of him moving around, and just like the level of articulation, like there was no way they could have made this show 10 years ago.
No, it's definitely. Also, that does remind me, speaking of Uncanny Valley and all that, I noticed they've gone with Chucky's eyes. Like, as the films have progressed, the eyes have become more horrifying. Like, they have, like, it's not like a painted doll's eyes anymore. It's like real freaking human eyes with multiple colors and shit in there. And now it's back to looking like a doll's eyes. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, and we can maybe assume that it's because it's a recent
conversion.
Maybe it was a recent soul transfer.
Sure.
Maybe that's part of, so I can imagine that maybe like, Tiffany is buying up a bunch of different Chucky dolls, and they're possibly like seeding them in different communities or something like that.
That may be why they're up to $250 on eBay.
Well, and I also think there's also a bidding war because Andy's trying to get a hold of all of them too.
That's very true.
Because we get a call, because Jake tries to sell the doll to try to raise some money.
I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, and it's very clearly Andy who's calling and warning him, but like I'm happy that we're gonna get more Andy and that we're gonna get Kyle.
Yes, and I want to say though, like in that episode, the way they handled Andy's vocal introduction over the phone is creepy as shit. Because it definitely didn't make Jake go, "Oh wow, I got to be careful with this doll." It was like, I think I'm being groomed. What the fuck?
Right, and that's the thing. Like for us, the audience, like we totally understand where Andy's coming from. We understand his anxieties, everything like that. We've seen him like fish a gun out of the torso of a living doll.
Yeah, this is a man whose life has been absolutely fucking destroyed, and this is all he has now. So,
but now we're looking at it from the outside with Jake,
which is just pure
and
mad.
That call is incredibly unsettling.
I know. Is his name Chucky? Yeah.
And that's the other thing is like Jake putting his number up there, and I'm thinking of like internet safety kids. Goddamn.
I'm sitting here going, "What are you doing?" But my roommate brought up something very interesting about the whole
Okay.
Andy situation.
Mhm.
Okay, when the doll starts telling people stuff and talking to people, the first thing they do, Chucky did it. Chucky told me to do it. The first thing Jake does is, I ain't telling nobody there's a talking doll.
Yeah, I
Jake,
mean, he's already bullied
he
enough, you know what I
is
mean?
the most intelligent protagonist we've had in this series to date. Because
Well,
I also don't think that a kid would tell his parents my doll's talking to me.
yeah. Yeah, I could see that. But also, like, he's already kind of ostracized and he's already considered the weird kid, so just kind of keeping that to himself is a huge problem.
Oh, God, yes.
But yeah, it's definitely a different approach compared to, like, say, like Andy or oh, I'm trying to remember the name of the kid in Child's Play 3.
Yeah, I know who you mean. I can't remember his
Yeah.
name. He was only in that one movie, but he's a good kid. I liked him.
Oh yeah, yeah. Apparently he stole a car or something. So there's some like real life
the
stuff
actor
going on with some of the actors.
Oh,
yeah,
dear, man, child actor.
So I have. I'll probably mention that when I record the Child's Play 3 episode.
Oh God, please, yeah. I mean, one of the things I like about the guy playing Andy is he's a child actor and he's alive and seems to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah. I think you have that thing where like apparently like child actors don't adjust well.
Oh God, no.
But he seems to be fine, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, you have three ways child actors turn out. You have the arrested for doing horrible things and doing drugs. You have the dropped out of the industry, got a college degree, and maybe they come back later. And then you have Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton.
Can you say Will? Yeah.
Will.
Can you say Wheaton?
Oh.
Yeah, no.
Wheaton.
Say Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton.
Yes. I just...
Yeah, I like that episode as well.
But, like, you know, you basically turn into an insufferable prick on the internet is what I'm getting at. So I'm really glad to see the guy that played Andy back because, like, I don't know. Also, that's another thing I want to bring up about the last couple of movies, you know, at the end where they introduce Kyle and Andy at the end. And
yeah, legacy characters.
Yeah, the legacy characters. And then it goes to the black screen and it's, and blah, blah, blah is Andy, you know? And it's like, did he just get introduced for Smash Brothers? Because the way the credits come on the screen, I'm like, a new challenger approaches.
Like, I love it. It's
it
like
really
cheesy,
is.
it's goofy, it's there for, like, the fans of the series.
It definitely is.
Like, you know, for the average moviegoer isn't going to be like, oh, fuck, it's Alex Vincent.
Yeah, but for me,
but for, like,
I just start giggling.
Right? You know, just like seeing Kyle show up at the end and then she's there to torture the Chucky head at the end of Colt. It's just like, fuck yeah, man.
I was so happy.
This is what I want out of the series.
So yeah.
I did want to mention one more thing. So I noticed some shades of Halloween, the John Carpenter film, at the end of the episode with young Charles. So did you catch that?
I don't know that I did.
Okay, so how did Halloween, the original Halloween, open up?
Jesus.
Do you remember that?
Was it the POV thing?
Yeah, the POV shot, the little child, the mom in the Halloween, it was Judith, his sister,
right,
doing her makeup and that sort of thing, or brushing her hair in the mirror. But they have that kind of same setup here in the Chucky show at the end of the episode, where it's a young Charles Lee Ray and he goes to his mom.
Yeah.
And then we get that point of view shot of Chucky or Charles.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. Like, you know that Don Mancini has watched a lot of horror, and he's seen a lot of movies, and he references them a lot. Like with Seed of Chucky, the whole thing. Yeah, like with Seed of Chucky, the whole thing is all Ed Wood.
Oh God, yes, no, the whole damn Glenn or
Glenda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's little things like that, and I'm kind of keeping an eye out for them.
Right.
You know, there's all these little... So it's great that it's kind of rhyming with itself, programming within the own franchise, but then the fact that they kind of take in little bits and pieces of iconic stuff from other movies and stuff. I really appreciate that. So I thought that was something cool that I wanted to know.
That does remind me, they shot a promo with Chucky for the new Halloween movie. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Where
he's carving
the Michael Myers pumpkin and he stabs it and it just, what, you don't like it? So,
but that's probably not canon.
Oh no, but you know, it's fun. I mean, not everything has to be canon, but while we're on
No, you don't understand. Everything has to be canon.
Curse the internet. But
curse the Marvel Studios.
Indeed, that too. But one of the things I want to bring up about the show as a whole so far, that first episode, is the editing.
Oh yeah.
The editing is fantastic, and I love the transitions. There are a lot of old school wipes in this. Like hard wipes too, with like a border on them.
Yeah.
Like the scene is sliding over to the next scene, and I love that. It's very Star Wars in a way. It's very
and that's like the old school serial. Yeah, old school serials, but you know, also like it's a very pretty show.
It really is
in a lot of ways. Like Hackensack, like outside of like the murder and the terrible people that they show in the show.
It's a beautiful town.
The town is absolutely gorgeous. It's like got that nice fall look to it.
Yeah, no, I can imagine New Yorkers flooding in during the fall to see the leaves change and the locals getting really, really pissed about it.
And then, you know, the other thing is like the way that the show is shot. There's some really cool shots, like when they have the Chucky doll on the yard sale table and they do that kind of like
the rotation.
Yeah, the rotating zoom.
Yes.
You know, and then also like when they shoot the scenes in the basement, they have that Dutch angle high up camera lens. And when they do the flickering of the lights and the Chucky moves closer, like that's fantastic. I absolutely love that because
that was actually one of the most frightening parts. Because it's just the doll moving closer and then it's gone and then he just pops up in frame. Ah!
Well, and then also like his face.
Yeah.
The face of the doll is just absolutely horrifying.
It always has been.
That's
Screaming Chucky in the first Child's Play is still one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen. And and
then of course we do have to mention that he ended up killing a cat, which made me sad.
Yeah, I was a little.
I can't fully get behind this Charles Lee Ray character, unfortunately, because
I can't support this serial killer. Damn it. Yeah, no, I agree. The cat thing pissed me off, but
it's also kind of necessary.
The cat knew.
Yeah, the cat fucked around and found out.
The cat did, and evil knows evil, so.
Yeah, but it's also like there are people who kind of complain like, well, some of those animal deaths are pointless, but I think it was necessary to have Chucky kill that cat.
It's also a good reminder that no matter how friendly he seems toward this kid and no matter how much you think he relates to him, he still murdered this kid's cat.
Yeah, and then he makes the joke about it, like when he reveals himself to.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant the cat. Yeah.
Oh yes, and also another reference. So the other half of the Wheeler family living in that big house, definite shades of what was it? Seed of Chucky with Glenn when they were making that movie, or they were making that fictional movie about Chucky.
Yeah.
And that house kind of had a similar layout to the one that we see in this episode.
Yeah.
That belongs to Logan.
Yes.
So yeah, like there's all these little tiny, and I'm sure I could pick out a lot more. I'm not going to, because then that just kind of gets annoying after a while. But
does it though? Does it really? Yeah.
I gotta think about the audience.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah. So like, all I know is that I came out of that first episode just so thrilled.
Yeah.
So thrilled.
Well, I came out of it extremely happy with how it turned out, but I think more importantly for both SyFy and USA, I came out wanting the next episode right then. And that's the best you can do with a TV show a lot of times is make people go, okay, now what?
And it ended on such like a perfect little like cliffhanger. Like I feel like to use like an old-fashioned term, I think that like TV is going to be Chucky's ballywick. like it's going to be where Chucky succeeds the best is on television.
I think you're right. Also, I think it's going to get him to a broader audience because, rated R movies, you can't get everybody into the theater. TV show.
But yeah, TVMA show. And I'm glad they're not shying away, because with television, there was that risk that like they were going to like significantly alter Chucky's vocabulary, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, which they did not.
Yeah, which I really appreciate. They're like, if we're doing TVMA on cable, we're going to fucking do TVMA on cable.
Yeah, Chucky definitely came through the transition completely intact as a character.
And I'm looking forward to spending a lot more time with this dog, because we only get to spend like an hour and a half at most with him per movie.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're going to be able to spend close to 7 or 8 hours with him. You know what I mean?
And we're going to get to delve into Charles Lee Ray, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, so I can assume that you're probably going to catch the next episode, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when does that come out, by the way?
It comes out on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
All right, cool. I'll have it by Thursday, so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think we more or less covered it. We've talked for close to an hour about this first episode, but I think we were both very pleased by it.
We were both pleased and excited about it, so yes.
Mm-hmm. So, I suppose we can wrap it up here. I do want to thank the listeners who have been giving us feedback, or giving me feedback about the episodes. I'm very happy with how all this is turning out. The plan is that I will be posting the spoiler-free reviews on HauntedMTL, and then I will have this podcast to kind of have that spoilerish discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I am working on the Child's Play 3 episode. We had a scheduling issue, but I'm hoping to get that sometime in the next week. You might end up getting a couple of episodes a week, because at this point we're switching gears to following the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to get the movie episodes in there as well.
Oh, yeah.
So there might be a week where you get a couple episodes.
Well, the
so
movies
good
are
for
just
you.
so important.
Yeah, and then I still have my one-off. Like I'm gonna, one of the episodes I have planned is I'm going to sit down with my dad over at his place, and we're going to talk about the first Child's Play movie, because he let me watch it when I was like 4 or 5 years old.
I still remember you telling me that story about them walking in on you trying to do the voodoo curse to go into your doll.
Right. So, just like what's his perspective on this? Like, why am I so screwed up? That sort of thing.
Yeah, so, no, it's like, Dad, thank you for being on the show. Thank you. Where did I go wrong?
Exactly. So Kevin, thank you so much for hopping on with me this morning. I know things are hectic all around.
Oh, buddy, I'm happy to do it.
I love talking to you, dude.
Thank you.
I love
talking to you about any range of subjects. I'm going to go ahead and say it on the show. I would love to be back for the remake episode.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is, and I have a couple people who want to be on certain episodes, so I might even have like 2 guests for an episode. I was originally intending to have another guest join us for this one, but didn't get back to me in time. So I'll probably pull him in for one of the movie episodes, but that's the hardest part of this podcasting thing, is scheduling.
It really is.
You know what I mean?
It really is.
Yeah. People don't understand how hard we're working.
You just don't. You have no idea. I am knee deep in Graham Hancock right now, and it is icky. Actually, here's the thing. It's not as icky as David Icke. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to leave it there.
I think you mean Ike.
No, it's Ike.
No. I'm making an Ike
right.
Ike.
It's Ike, but not Ike.
See, the joke doesn't work when I have to explain it, damn it.
Like she said, once you smash it with a hammer, it's dead. Yes. Speaking of, let me just go on real quick and say I'm really impressed with Chucky's speed and efficiency in turning that frog into an undead altar.
Yeah, that's one thing we didn't mention, but yeah.
Like 5 seconds, that frog is like a freaking temple to Debella.
Yeah, and then just like in the middle of the class, I know people are like looking down at their stuff, but that's like some risk.
That is definitely. We were talking about that. Me and my roommate, we were just like, man, that's crazy there. Like nobody saw that shit.
All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up here.
Awesome.
Again, Kevin, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, happy to do it as always.
And if you have anything that you would like to plug here at the end of the episode, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. If you guys want to hear me and David talk about big feats and sweaty men's coming up over the next few weeks, we are working on the Falk Monster episodes of Supernatural Selection. You can find them at supernatpod.rocks. If you have questions for the show, please feel free to check the navigation at the top. And we also have a Patreon you can support. I'm not going to go into all that, but you can find it all at supernatpod.rocks.
And it's going to be our first, 3-parter series. Originally, I was like, okay, it's going to be a 2-parter. And then I think I, DM'd you at, 2 a.m. Okay, so it's going to be a 3-parter.
You did, and I'm like, I don't care. It's great, man. It's all gold. So,
no, the episodes, we've recorded 2 of them so far, and they've been fantastic. I'm very happy, because it's me writing them.
Your outlines have been really amazing, and I think you and I are both now really paranoid about horses.
Yes. So if you want to understand why I'll never trust a horse, make sure you listen to Supernatural Selection on Deviant Behavior Radio.
And if you can't find it through that name, just look up Kevin the Bastard. You'll find it.
Oh, and I have an announcement actually.
Oh, do you?
Yes. So on Deviant Behavior Radio, I already have my show, The Mutant Hours, which you can listen to on Mondays and Wednesdays at midnight Pacific time.
Yes.
No, midnight Central time.
Yes.
Yes, that's it. But I'm actually going to be starting a second show on Deviant Behavior Radio.
I heard something about this.
The Haunted MTL Radio Hour. We're going to start playing some of these Haunted MTL podcasts, of which we have several, over on Deviant Behavior Radio. And it's going to be a block that starts just before, an hour and a half before the Mutant Hours. But I'm going to have Monday and Wednesday nights on lock over there.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this podcast will probably show up, most definitely because I love to self-promote, but, we also have the podcast Streamin' Demons, which is a lot of fun, and we have AA, and, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm also going to be playing a character to introduce the podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's kind of my little nod to, the horror host sort of thing.
Yeah, your own little Svingoolie.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. I'm going to try to see if I can get it going next week, but probably most likely the week after, just so I give myself that time to record.
Cool.
But so yeah, that was our spoilerific discussion of Chucky Season 1, Episode 1.
Definitely.
Death by Misadventure.
And if you don't have cable or a streaming service where it's available, that first episode is available on YouTube, so definitely go and check it out.
Yep. And it's great. They also have an extended version with a little cast interview as well. So
yeah,
you can find that on I think the USA Network YouTube page.
It should be there. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to close out here. Again, thank you to all who have been listening. Thank you for subscribing if you're on Spotify, and we'll catch you next week with episode 2.
Vaya con Dios.
You have been listening to Kids' Stuff, a Chucky podcast, a HauntedMTL original podcast. Our theme is Pop Goes the Weasel by Kevin MacLeod. You can find more of Kevin MacLeod's music at incompetech.filmmusic.io. If you want to find out more about me, the podcaster, you can just go to hpkomics.com, hpcomics.com, or you can find me on the socials at hpkomic. For more great horror content, do not forget to visit HauntedMTL.com.